So are you an introvert, or do you feel like being an introvert may be affecting your dating life? Or maybe you're asking, how can I find God's choice for me being a quiet and reserved person? Now, this is one of the questions that we got on our Instagram page last week, and we're going to be answering it today. Being an introvert myself, crickets. Guys, you need to believe me, I'm an introvert, man. I know it may not look like it, but trust me, I actually am one. I'm going to get to that in a second. So one of the fears that a lot of introverts deal with, is how am I going to meet this person? Where am I going to meet this person? Because I love just being by myself. I love my space. I love my energy. Being around people just drains me. So how will I meet this person if I have this kind of personality? A lot of us think that, I need to be an extrovert in order to network or make friends or be in that environment where I get to meet my future partner or whatnot. And another fear is that, a lot of introverts feel like they're not going to be interesting enough to keep potential suitors. And one major fear, and I had this as well, is what if I've missed out on many opportunities because of my personality? Because I believe that people are doors. When you interact with them, you get to open it. So if you're not interacting with them, then opportunities are being shut. So one of my fears being an introvert, I'm not really an introvert, but I'll get to that in a second. But one of the fears that a lot of introverts face is, what if I'm missing out on opportunities? What if that guy that spoke to me that time, or that guy who made an approach, and maybe I didn't respond the way I would have liked, and maybe that was a missed opportunity. Maybe that was the person that God actually sent my way, but it was a missed opportunity because of how I handled the situation. So in this video, we're going to be sharing 2 tips to help you position yourself better as an introvert. So see you guys in a bit. So welcome to Before Marriage 21. On here, we're on a mission to make marriages cool again. We help single Christians become the right people for marriage by showing them what marriage looks like when done God's way. God's way is to follow laws. Marriage run on laws. And when you're able to apply these laws to your marriage, you're able to predict success and create order in them. I normally run this with my wife, but it's her birthday on Tuesday. Yay! And I'm doing something really special for her, right? So I surprised her yesterday, because if I'm going to surprise her on her birthday, like she's like an anti-surprise machine. Whatever you get, you have planned, she always knows how to spoil it. So now I've decided that if your birthday is like a few days away, I'm going to surprise you like a week before. So after we had our son, she kept on making this comment. I wish I could just be in a hotel all by myself and just relax and be in a bathtub and just spend like 3 hours there. Like, that has been her dream. I should just be mentioning. So her birthday is coming, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time to grant that wish, man. You're Aladdin, rub that bottle or rub that lamp, and let this genie answer or fulfill your wish. So this week I went to a hotel, and I'm just gonna give her like the weekend off. You guys need to pray for me, because it's gonna be me and 2 boys, a 3-year-old and a 5 to 6 week old. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna need your prayers. I might put something in here just to show you guys, so she deserves it. I mean, she's been amazing. She's been working her ass off, taking care of 3 babies in this house. So I feel like that's the least I could have done, as a husband. Just give her 2 days off where I get to feel all the pain, and just get her to relax and enjoy herself. So Pick. It's tough.
Alright, come on, folks. Okay. Yay! 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 Oh, my hotel bed. My hotel bed.
I don't wanna go,
I know where we'll go.
'cause this bed is so comfortable. Hi, this bed is comfy, man. We're just gonna enjoy this weekend, but going home with the boys now. Pray for me. The number one way that you can use to position yourself as an introvert is what I would say embrace yourself. So number one is embrace yourself. So I was reading this book a few months ago, and it was talking about this really popular rock band today. I think it's called Metallica. You know, they're like a rock band, really popular, you know, and you know, the guy was giving us an insight into how they started. So there was this guitarist who used to play for them, and 2 days before this rock band signed a deal and before they became the mega stars that they are today, they fired their guitarist 2 days before they signed the deal. And you know, on the way home, the guitarist was like, you know what, I'm going to show these guys, you know, that they made a mistake firing me. And so he started his own band. You know, he was relatively successful by his own standards. You know, he was able to tour the world. He became a successful guy. He was able to tour the world, sold over 25 million copies. You know, but in 2003, I believe someone interviewed him, and in the interview he said that he still felt like a failure because he still remembers himself as the guy who got kicked off that band. Now, guaranteed the other band has sold over 180 million copies worldwide. But what struck me about that story was that this guy was able to tour the world. He was able to sell 25 million copies, which is a success in its own right. But because he was comparing himself to this other group, he still felt like a failure in their eyes. You know, he has set the wrong standards for himself. You know, and I feel like comparison is the killer of joy. You know, and it happens in our relationships as well. You know, I remember when I was still in the world, I'll have someone I'm seeing. I go out, see my friend bring another girl, and I'm like, what? Or I see my friends, you know, rotating babes, and I'm like, man, this could have been me, but I'm here stuck with this one. And then I begin to lose the joy that I once had with this person. And it's the same with an introvert looking at an extrovert. You know, when you start to compare yourself to extroverts and see how easy they are at networking, see how easy it is to make new friends, we begin to compare ourselves and not really recognize the strengths that we possess. And rather, we compare our weaknesses to their strengths, not realizing that we also have strengths. And, you know, one thing, because OG is an introvert, very, like, when I met her, I was like, man, is this going to work? Like, that was one of my concerns, because I'm like, she's way too quiet for me, and, you know, I'm used to a certain, you know, personality and blah, blah, blah. What do we know? You know, like, I've realized that you really don't know what you want until God gives you what you need, you know. So, a lot of, and it's only until we got married that I realized, man, this babe just compliments me perfectly. Like, everything that I am weak at, she's strong at. And so it just helps us, you know, we just complement each other perfectly. So introverts have amazing qualities. You know, I know you're probably asking yourself that, you know, how am I going to find this person? You know, would they find me interesting? Would they find me attractive? Would they find my personality compatible? You know, but one thing I've realized that unless you understand the value that you have, people will not see it. People will not recognize the value that you should recognize. So one of the major qualities of an introvert is the ability to listen. They are very, very good listeners. You know, I find myself watching TV, solely watching TV. OG is cooking, OG is cleaning, OG is doing this, doing that, and she's the one explaining the movie to me. So I'll be like, why did that happen? And she'll be like, I can't remember when this. I'm like, how did you know that I'm watching this thing? You are doing a million other things, and you're still telling me, you know. So they are very good listeners, and this is an amazing quality to have in a relationship because, you know, you're able to soak in the information, analyze it. They are very good analyzers as well. Analyze the information and really understand it, and really understand your partner in a way that, you know, they otherwise wouldn't be understood. Also, they think before they speak. Now, I believe it was in last week's video that I shared this verse, James 1:19, which says, you must be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. So you rarely see an introvert who is actually who has a hot temper or who gets angry unnecessarily. They like to think, they like to process information before they speak. So it's why when they actually speak, you're like, whoa, I didn't even realize that was in there. I remember when OG, she'll give me like her analysis on certain things or scriptures that we're talking about or certain situations or some Instagram posts that we send ourselves, and I'm like, where did that come from? But they actually take time to analyze the information before they actually deliver it. They also have attention to detail, and this helps you spot red flags a lot quicker than others. So when you see, because you're analytic, you're analytic, you get to, really farabale and, chill and understand certain patterns because you are not, you're observing. So you're saying that this is something that I've observed over time. This is a pattern, so is this a red flag? Is this something I should be wary of? Meanwhile, other people are glossing over these things, but you are more attentive to detail. I remember when, I will do my resume or my CV, and, in my eyes, I've read it. I'm like, this thing is fantastic. Anybody who reads this CV now will just employ me sharply. And then I'll just tell OG, just out of, what's the word? Just to fulfill all righteousness. I'll be like, man, babe, can you just, go through this and let me just know what you think? In my mind, I'm thinking, obviously she's just going to be like, man, this is perfect. Why did you even ask me? Like, this is perfect. And then when she returns it, I just see red marks everywhere. I'm like, what? Like what? And then by the time I actually be like, oh, you used the wrong tense here. This word just doesn't make sense in this sentence. This paragraph could be a little shorter. This one just doesn't make sense. You need to reword it. And I'm like, oh my God. And then by the time I reread it, I'm like, okay, she's actually right. So attention to detail. And these are some of the qualities that you're going to be bringing into a relationship. So there's no point comparing yourself to an extrovert thinking, oh, this is what they do. They also have their weaknesses. Embrace yourself, embrace the qualities that you currently have. You love reading, you love doing all these things. You have quality friends. A lot of introverts have quality friends, not quantity friends. They an extrovert will have like a million friends but no deep connections. Introverts have a close knit of people who they are their paddy, like they are deep friends, deep rooted people, deep relationships where they are loyal to these people. They don't make friends that quick, but when they do make friends, it's a deep relationship. And then one other thing is they are very independent. Now, this could be a weakness as well, because I remember like OG is like one of the people who cannot accept help. Like you literally need to beg her, like, can I help you do this? Like she just feels like she can do everything herself. So I remember when she was pregnant with our second son, and we're at the hospital, she was in labor, and she was finding it hard to walk. Like everybody could see her and I'm holding her, and then a nurse comes and she's holding a wheelchair and she's like, like, do you want a wheelchair? Like, can I help you? And she's like, no, it's fine. I was like, are you sure? And we're talking about it earlier today, and she's like, the Holy Spirit told her, like, you better accept help now. Like, stop this, because it's something that she's really working on right now. So she's like, it's like, accept the help. And she was like, you know what? I'll actually take it. And we're able to use the wheelchair. So embrace yourself. See the value that you currently possess. Being an introvert. So number one is embrace yourself in order to position yourself to find God's choice for you. Now, number two is closely related but not too related. Embrace Jesus. So this reminds me of when I initially given my life to Christ. I joined the Bible group fellowship that I met OG at. And the leader there was a young guy. God really used him to help me grow spiritually, because I was able to look up to him and be like, man, this guy actually looks like a role model that I can look up to. And one day we're talking about personalities, choleric, sanguine, and all these other personality traits. And I had a question. I'm like, what personality was Jesus? And he was like, wow, that's actually an amazing question. I've never heard that before. And he said that Jesus had all personality. He had a spirit-controlled temperament. Oh, it was actually temperament we're talking about. So he said Jesus had a spirit-controlled temperament. So he had all in the right balance. Now, if I ask you, was Jesus Christ an introvert or an extrovert? I'm sure you can probably guess the answer now. He was both. I feel like 2 Corinthians, let's see. And 2 Corinthians 3:18 says, so all of us who have had that veil removed can see and reflect the glory of the Lord. And the Lord, who is the Spirit, makes us more and more like him as we're changed into his glorious image. Now, as Christians, as born-again Christians, we are admonished to become like Jesus Christ. Like, that is our standard right now, right? We're supposed to become like him. Now, if Jesus Christ was both an introvert and extrovert, then we're supposed to be ambiverts, which is actually a word. And I believe that is what I am, because naturally I'm an introvert, but I can be an extrovert. I'm going to get to that in a second, but I just want to show you guys some scriptures where Jesus Christ was able to balance both. So Matthew 14:13-14, this was before he fed the 5,000 people, right? So it says in 13, as soon as Jesus heard the news, he left in a boat to a remote area to be alone. But the crowds heard where he was headed and followed on foot from many towns. Jesus saw the huge crowd as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them and healed their sick, and eventually then he fed the 5,000 people. Now, later on, before he walks on water, verse 22, he says, immediately after this, Jesus insisted. So after he had fed the 5,000, he told his disciples, he insisted that the disciples get back into the boat and cross to the other side of the lake while he sent the people home. After sending them home, he went up into the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was still there alone, and then when he saw them, he walked on water. So like I said, I believe I'm naturally an introvert. If you had met me 10, 15 years ago, I was the shyest person that you could ever meet. I would rather stay in the house. I would rather still stay in the house right now. But there were certain experiences that changed my life. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but in university, I had a problem speaking to girls. I liked girls a lot. So I'm like, I can't have a problem speaking to you. If I like you, I must talk to you and I must get you. So I knew that was a problem, and I had to leave my comfort zone in order to achieve the goal that I had set. I knew that I liked pretty girls. I liked, a certain type of babe, and I wanted to be able to get them. So one day I saw some guys talking about this book that they had read that had just transformed their lives. They used to be shy talking to girls, and now they're getting babes left, right, center. And I'm like, what book is this? And I was laughing at them. As soon as someone mentioned it, I laughed. Went home, Amazon.com, ordered, boom. As soon as I got the book, I read the first page, and I knew that my life had changed. Because I told my guy, I said, we're going out tonight. I'm going to go and practice this thing. And I feel like a lot of people who are introverts are happy being in their comfort zone and don't want to leave, because they're happy saying, this is who I am, this is who I am. But Jesus Christ was both, and we're called to become like Jesus Christ. So we need to become ambiverts. We need to become both. You can be by default an introvert, but you can learn the skills or some of the skills to become an extrovert when you want to. Another experience that changed my life was when we moved to Canada. Within like the first year, I dabbled into network marketing, and that really helped me as well, because I didn't know anybody here. So I went out and was speaking to random people, trying to recruit them into this business. And so that helped me develop the skills that that I'm using right now. Because if someone had told me 15 years ago that I'll be talking, public speaking, doing all these things, I would have told them you're a big liar. But guess what? This is what I'm doing today. Even Pastor Sam, is a very, very strong introvert, but guess what? He's preaching, he's doing all this, it can be learned, and it reminds me of, and like I said earlier, I said people are like doors, like if you don't interact with them, you leave those opportunities and those doors locked. So I remember one of our friends was staying with us recently, and she's an introvert, and she was talking about how she went somewhere and she didn't. She asked like one or two questions. I'm like, wow, you could have. Okay, she went to do her hair, and she was like, and I was like, oh, like what kind of conversation did you have with the hairstylist and everything? And she was like, no, she didn't really talk and everything. I'm like, come on, man, like you should have spoken to her. You asked her, and she's like, nah, I'm an introvert. But in my mind, I'm like, I've seen you when you're talking to people who are close to you, and you're a totally different person. And if you notice, a lot of introverts, when you see them with their core friends. They are totally different people. They're jovial. They're more. You would think they're extroverts in that situation. So that's just to prove to you that you can actually learn these skills. You can actually become an ambivert if you are willing to face the rejection, face the leave your comfort zone, and just because for me, when I was going through all this situations where I'll be pickup artist, network marketing, I faced a lot of rejection. But guess what? I still did it, and now I'm better. Like any new thing that you're going to try, you're going to suck at it first. I heard somewhere the first success, what does the first half say? Suck. Before you get success, you need to suck at it first, So if you really want to, be able to position yourself to not lose out on those opportunities where God could be sending someone your way, but you are misusing or abusing the opportunity, you need to learn these skills. You need to leave your comfort zone. You need to be comfortable being uncomfortable for a season until you learn this skill. So yes, one of the tips I'll give to you guys in closing is, join a book club, read books. One book that I highly recommend is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's an old book, but still relevant today. I read it like a year or two ago, and it really helped with my networking skills. Go to networking events. Bible study groups. This is why people always say that you should serve in church, because as an introvert, you thrive in an environment where people are seeing you consistently. Extroverts are able to just walk up to someone and then strike that immediate connection. But as introverts, we need time. Like it takes time to uncover us, for us to trust you enough to reveal certain things and become as interesting as we know we are. So you need to be in an environment where there's that consistency, where people are seeing you, where a word here this week, a word here tomorrow, and then over time that attraction and that connection is building. So network events, read books on how to interact with people. One thing I also say is that do the things that you do inside, outside. So for example, you love reading. Why don't you go to the library, go to Starbucks, go to an eatery, do these things outside, strike up random conversations with people, start testing yourself, start having this little conversation, start practicing. Like I said, it's going to suck at first, but you just have to keep going and going, and eventually you will get better. Go to house parties, don't go to the club, because in the club no one can connect with you there. I can't believe like what would we doing? Like the music is loud, like you can't really hear yourself. So what are you just going off? You're going off looks and going off charm. And the Bible has said beauty and charm are deceptive. So you need an environment that is quiet, where you can actually have a conversation with someone, and get to know that person on a deep level. Volunteering, that is another awesome opportunity that you can use as well to get out there and start to meet new people and work on these skills that you can use to actually position yourself to find the one that God has ordained for you. So I hope this was helpful. How do you find God's chosen one? I believe that was the question. How do you find God's chosen one for you as an introvert? Embrace yourself and embrace Jesus. Do not compare yourself to extroverts. Embrace yourself, recognize your value, recognize your strengths, and then embrace Jesus Christ, because Jesus was both an introvert and an extrovert, and become an ambivert. See you guys next week.